I am here today with,
On Point Politics.
Monsieur Z.
and both of these guys have done fantastic things this year. One is a historian with a big YouTube following, the other makes predictions. What was it like making predictions in the 2024 election?
Well, I think it was really interesting because you kind of had Trump and Biden a rematch. So it was kind of funny because they're very well known commodities. So there wasn't really a lot of undecideds as they claimed to make it seem like there were. And so what you had is you had two known commodities going against each other. And all you had to do is look at the national approval ratings of both candidates and see roughly what the popular vote margin was going to be. Trump was hovering in the mid 40s and Biden was in like the high 30s ish. So Trump probably would have won the popular vote by like 5 to 8 points, depending on the day or the environment. And it would have been an absolute disaster. Biden would have lost Virginia. He would have lost Minnesota. He would have lost New Hampshire, Maine, New Mexico. So that's really the core of that election. But then they threw in Harris and kind of built up the DNC machine. And she was able to kind of galvanize some traditional, very liberal Democrat voters. And that's why she was still able to hold on to Virginia, Minnesota, New Mexico, New Hampshire, because those states have little pockets where there's a lot of like neoliberal type voters or Republicans moving to the Democrat column. So that's why she was able to hold on to those. But her lack of appeal in the swing states just completely made her lose the election. So that's really what that was. I mean, Trump is popular now, but not to the point where it was like, oh, yeah, Trump, obviously Trump got the most votes out of any Republican ever. But at the same time, Harris not being a good candidate had a big part in why she ended up losing that election or why Trump won so big in modern terms, because they say he won in a landslide. In a traditional sense, that's not true, but in a modern day sense, it is, because the country's less white than what it was 20 years ago or 40 years ago. There's a lot more urban areas that are kind of, growing really fast. So he did have a pretty big mandate overall.
Which it was a big victory for him. And for you, you got to, Dean, you got to kind of do this from a history standpoint. What was so interesting about this election from a history standpoint, in your opinion?
Yeah, the fascinating thing is I actually have a point of contention with Lester's position on Biden. I think Biden actually would have outperformed Harris quite significantly and had a better chance of beating Trump if it wasn't for that terrible debate performance. I think that put on full display for the American public that Biden wasn't all there mentally, and that just led to that decline and why the Democrats scrambled to really get rid of him and put Harris in place. If they had a follow-up and Biden performed better, I think he could have recovered that. But I think after that interview, he just really damaged his chances of winning the presidency. I look at American history as a matter of cycles where a party or faction holds dominance in the country. And Biden had this ability. He genuinely did. He had the opportunity to coalesce the Democrats into a new front, but he failed to do that. Some people might, and from my perspective, Trump might have also been in the same camp because wins 2016, doesn't win 2020, and of course you have this sort of fragmentation in the Republican Party. Things could have really gone either way, but with Trump winning as bigly as he did, in 2024, I think this is a good forecast that him and his faction of the Republican Party is set to dominate for at least the next few decades. However, what matters as well is the legislature. MAGA Republicans in both the Senate and in the House of Representatives still only make up a small portion of that population. They need to grow their numbers and their dominance, and what happens in 2026 could impact that. If Trump can't deliver on the promises or keep up his momentum and loses significantly in 2026, that's going to compromise a lot of that. However, it's still the ball is still in
Up
Trump's
for grabs.
court. Well, it's up for grabs, but the ball's in Trump's court. He has a lot more opportunity to pull out some success.
For sure. And one last thing, where can everybody go to find out more about your channel where you make predictions?
On Point Politics on YouTube, and then on X also On Point Politics as well.
Awesome. And we'll close with you, Dean. Where can people go to find out more about the history of politics and things like that?
You can go to my YouTube channel, Monsieur Z, or you can follow me on X at US of Z, or just look up Monsieur Z. I'll probably pop up there as well.
Thank you.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you.